Here.
Fisher,
Here.
Geib,
Say here again, Larry.
Geib,
Here.
Gilligan,
Here.
Kreiser,
Here.
Ludwig K,
Here.
Ludwig M,
Here.
Putt.
Here.
Okay, everybody present and accounted for. Moving on to the next item, which is board minutes. So at this time, I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the board meeting of August 27, 2020.
So moved.
Moved by Putt. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ludwig. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is approval of treasurer's report. I'll turn this over to you, Mr. Putt.
Thank you, sir. At this time, I'd like to make a motion to approve the treasurer's report for August 2020.
So moved.
Hold on a minute. I have a motion to approve the treasurer's report for August 2020. Do I have a second? And Mr. Ludwig, any questions, comments, or concerns? Hearing none. Oh, go ahead.
I'll just point out that we've been very closely scrutinizing cash flow certainly with concerns. Have absolutely no concerns about our ability to meet our cash flow needs, but we are definitely noting timing differences. It would be too soon to draw any conclusions from that because of the later payment date for the discount period being September 15th. But just for example, at August 31st, our cash position was 10 million lower than our trend. But by yesterday, it was down 5 million from our trend, and we're starting to see the big escrow companies. We think some of those payments aren't in yet. So, like I said, it's too soon to draw conclusions, but we are monitoring it very carefully.
Okay. Any other questions, comments, or concerns? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Next item on the agenda is President's Report, and I have nothing to report this evening. So we'll move on to visitor comments. And just as a reminder, visitor comments are limited to 5 minutes for each person that is registered for this evening. And I would just, again, just remind people to be respectful in their communications back and forth. Okay, with that, first person we have up is Christina Kurtz. Christina, can you say hi?
Chris, I'm not seeing her online.
Okay, is there any Christina Kurtz? Do people, do the guests have the ability to raise their hand, John?
Yes, they should be able to.
Okay, so Christina, if you're in the audience, please raise your hand using the raise your hand feature within the app here, within Zoom. Nothing, John?
Yeah.
Okay, if Christina's not here, we'll move on to the next visitor, which is Jessica Rice. Jessica, do you want to say hi, please?
I don't see a Jessica Rice either. I see a Caleb Rice. I can unmute that person.
That's Jessica.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yep. Okay, Jessica, you have the floor.
I am Jessica Rice. I have 3 students in the district right now, all 3 in the Cougar Academy in some way, shape, or form. And I just wanted to take a minute and spread a little bit of positivity and say that I think things are going really well. My oldest is a junior, and she's also dual enrolled in HAC. And I think it's been very positive for her, being able to take a little bit of ownership and discipline in regards to her own learning. I have a 5th grader who has really enjoyed it and has been able to actually work ahead a little bit and has been very empowered to do so. And lastly, I have a 3rd grader with an IEP, and she's been receiving some really great services through that team as well. I just want to say that I think the communication from the district and the Cougar Academy team has been great. There's been emails, there's been clear direction, there's been pretty consistent checkups. They've been teaching the kids how to use the apps as well. And I think that the tech support has been good, and I think that it's been very positive overall, and they've been very graceful, and the soft start to the year also very nice. It's made it much less stressful and a positive experience for my kids. And I just wanted to share some positivity on things.
Okay, well, thank you, Jessica. Moving on, the next registered visitor comment is Tara O'Rourke. So Tara.
Everyone hear me?
Yep, the floor is yours, Tara.
All right, so I'm Tara. I'm gonna add on to that positivity. So I'm on the other end. I have 2 daughters in the district, my oldest in 1st grade at Forge and my youngest in kindergarten at Lingle. So I just wanted to come on and just show my extreme support and appreciation for all the teachers. I agree with Jessica. Communication has been excellent. My daughter's kindergarten teacher, Mrs. Norton, if she's listening, has every day been responding about what they're doing in the classroom. And it's just been really helpful for parents that aren't able to be there maybe as much as we would have been before pre-COVID, to just be in touch and have that support. The tech team has been great with doing videos, and even the videos prior with all the principals, just showing masked versus unmasked. I just feel like my daughters went in with confidence and they were excited and so happy to be back. So just appreciate everyone in the school districts.
Thank you, Tara. That's much appreciated. Okay, next is Candace Hurley. So Candace, you want to say hi?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. You have the floor.
I'm not sure if you can see me or not because I can't see, but
We can.
okay. I feel like Jess and I must have like minds, even though I don't know who. I've never met her. I'm Candace Hurley, and I have 3 children in the district as well. I have 1 in the elementary level, 1 at middle school, and 1 at high school. And I just wanted to say that I have been very impressed as well with the way everything has gone from even before school started, with the communication from the school district, with the changes that were happening due to COVID, and then also the way that things were going to be operating. And then I also had the pleasure this week of substituting as a kindergarten transfer aide at Lingle, and then going into a couple of the different schools. I just want to really applaud the teachers, listening to them talk with the kids, trying to make things normal. And for as much uncertainty as occurred prior to the school year, my children are attending. Are attending in person as much as possible. My elementary school goes every day, middle school goes every other day, and then I have my high schooler that goes every other day, and then is also involved in the Cougar Academy. And already she's gotten 2 progress reports from Cougar Academy. So I think that the weekly report is going to be must be a thing that happens every week, which is nice to see. But just in general, the cleanliness of the facilities, the willingness of the teachers to do whatever is necessary to make it as normal as possible for the kids. And then just in general, for any parents that haven't had a chance to be in the schools, the kids, especially the younger kids, they're just doing what they're told. They are compliant, and they are, they're enjoying being around their friends. And so it has been really good. So thank you to all of the teachers and the administration for that. I do just have one question, and it's for clarification. And whoever can answer this would be great. Is when a child is absent because they have 1 or more symptoms that are on the list that are laid out, and the child attends school at home, I had seen something that said that the child would still be counted as absent, even if though they were attending at home. I was just wondering why, if there are symptoms and the child should not be in school, why it would still count as an absence if the child still logged in and did what they were supposed to, as long as the notes and everything, the notification was made. And the reason I ask is because it doesn't seem like if you're going to be counted as absent anyway, there may be some people who might not have their children do their schoolwork. So I was just wondering about the absentee policy. But other than that, thank you for the communication and for everything else that the school district has done.
Thank you, Candace.
Thank you, Candace. This is Dr. Kepler. I will have to get back to you with a response on that and look further into that. I know that our administration has been talking about trying to maintain attendance as normal as possible, and having some requests that are unique, that we're, even though students could join virtually, trying not to have an abuse of that system, but certainly understand that perspective of, if a family and a child's able to attend at home, that's what we want. So we don't want to discourage that. So please allow us to talk about that over the next several days into next week, and we'll discuss it as a team and have a further response.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Kepler. We'll move on to Dave Laudermilch. Dave, you want to say hi?
Hello.
Hey, Dave.
Hi there. Thank you.
You have the floor.
Great. So I just wanted to thank everybody who came out tonight to speak. I think it's great to see community involvement in the board meetings. I'm glad everybody is having a positive experience so far. That's my experience as well. I'm a Pine parent and a middle school parent, and I think it's going very well. I dropped my son off at Pine. That's fantastic and smooth. I've picked him up a couple times. That's smooth as well. And the middle school, my daughter, okay with the AB. She doesn't like the A so much when she's home, but she loves the B. But overall, the tech is working great. I think the teachers are working fantastic. So I'm glad everybody is having a good experience. Cougar Academy, that's some great feedback there. So my question tonight is, when will we begin to see or get some information about the teacher contract update? What the time frame is, when we might get a first blush look at that? I know the initial budget has to be presented in early January, so I assume this would be a component of that early on.
I don't know if Darcy or Bernie.
I'm happy to answer, Darcy, if you want to answer and jump in too. But under state law, negotiations must commence by I want to say like the second week of January, or in the month of January. So that is when negotiations are required to have started. It's pretty typical in a negotiations year that you're building budget on some assumptions. Oftentimes negotiations, if not an early bird, will go well into the budget cycle and hopefully not beyond. So,
I would hope not.
Yeah.
So have there been any discussions so far, or we're just kind of waiting for school opening here, getting through COVID and picking that up in January?
That's correct.
We're still closing out our 1920 fiscal year, but we'll move into budget prep soon and have conversations, because as I prepare the budget, I'll need some direction of putting in some provision or placeholder for that. But we have not met yet.
Okay, sounds good. A follow-on question to that is, for each percentage increase in the teacher contract, how does that translate through to mills or percent as tax increase?
You know what, I don't have that off the top of my head, but I can easily provide that.
Oh, fantastic. That would be great. That's all I had.
Okay, thank you, Dave.
Thanks.
Okay, next is Dawn Blauk. Dawn, would you say hi, please?
Hello.
Hi, Dawn. Okay, you have the floor.
All right. Thank you once again for allowing me to speak tonight. I had a couple questions on the health plan coming back to school. I have not really spoken about this much because I no longer have children in school. Mostly, I've just been thankful that I don't have to worry about this with my children. I do have friends that have children there and some family, distance family that attend there. And I was speaking to 2 family members over the weekend who are elementary school students. And they're doing online because their mother does not want them wearing a mask all day long. So they are doing online. And I want to commend you because, again, mom is extremely happy with the way that is going. I did find it funny, some of the things that the girls were a little upset about, one in particular, and I just wanted to bring this to your attention. She has a birthday coming up, so she wasn't sure how her birthday would be announced online. So I don't know if that's something that you guys are doing, but I wanted to bring that to your attention because these little things matter when they're not able to go to school. The things that they were, even the girls were very happy with the learning that they were experiencing, but they do miss the social part of it. Even some of the kids that I've spoken with that have gone to school are kind of, they don't have the same social experience that they had before. So that's a concern of mine mentally, how this might be affecting the children. I just wanted to bring that up. But with her being not wanting her children to wear masks, she said that they needed a doctor's excuse. And I didn't remember that being part of the issue or part of what was discussed previously. I did miss a meeting. So I went back through and I looked and I saw that there's a school team review. And I wondered who the school team is and what the review process is. What the criteria is for that. And I'd like the board to maybe reconsider the mask part of it. Because even with some of the board members, it doesn't look like everybody wears masks all the time. There's, I've seen people with masks and without masks out and about. So I just am asking you to please reconsider this part. But if you could please answer me who the school team is and what the review process is, I'd appreciate it.
About the birthdays, my kids are at home and they're enjoying it. But one of my son's in 2nd grade, and I don't know if it was an online student or at school, but they all sang happy birthday to them through the computer and, at school. So it was nice that everybody, got involved. So I think the teachers are doing stuff for birthdays.
Good. I'm glad to hear that because that was her main worry at this point.
You're on mute, Bernie.
Thank you. So in regards to the school team, with Section 504, working with students with disabilities under IDEA, both of those consist of the school team that includes a parent in those processes. Our school team would have administration, teachers, support personnel that might be involved in service providers to work through that, as there are at times accommodations with any disability under IDEA or Section 504 of ADA, where accommodations can be made. So if it's not a mask on a certain occasion, it might be a face shield. But the team reviews those areas, comes up with ideas. We have students with IEPs who have IEP goals added where they're working towards mask wearing. Might be a student with significant needs based on their diagnosis of autism, where they're working in 5-minute increments, building up a capacity to wear a face mask or face shield. But we have written protocol for that, forms that we utilize to go through that process as we work with the family. But we found in very few instances have we had to, where we have students that are not wearing a face covering.
Okay, thank you, Dawn.
And just Mr. Connell, Dr. Kepler, just to help me make sure I'm confirming this correctly, in all of the drafts, it was always noted that it was with a doctor's note. Or did that change at any point along the review process of our school health and safety return plan?
I'm trying. Our position throughout has been a requirement for facial covering. And I'll be totally honest, Mr. Kaiser, I could go back through and look at some of the ideations of where things changed from direction from the Commonwealth. But on the doctor's note versus no doctor's note, and then our decision to maintain that. But that still is at this point, Dr. Kepler, what PDE's guidance is, correct? That's correct.
And guidance is just that, guidance. It's not an order, correct? That would be up to interpretation on that one. I've shared with a parent or two that my recommendation will continue to be that we have face coverings on in school. If we would move to no face coverings, I don't believe we would be able to staff our school district.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is curriculum. So, Ms. Fisher.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. The Curriculum and Instruction Committee met on August 27th. And in that meeting, Dr. Spagnolo reviewed policies as listed in preparation for our first reading at tonight's regular board meeting. She also provided the board with an update regarding Equity and Diversity Committee and their meeting that was held on August 4th. There was no public comment and the meeting adjourned at 7:08 p.m. And out of that meeting, I do have one motion. I'd like to make a motion to approve the first reading of the board policies as listed.
I have a motion to approve the first reading of the board policies as listed. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Barley. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, thank you. And the next meeting of the Curriculum and Instruction Committee is scheduled for Thursday, September 24th, after the regular board meeting in the district office boardroom, or to be held virtually if necessary.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to staffing and administration, Mr. Geib.
Okay, we met on August 27th. We had the first reading of board policies 904, which is public attendance at school events, and 907, which deals with school visitors. We also had some discussion about the PSBA election of officers. We had the delegation of authority letter from PDE. There was no public comment. And out of that, the following motions need to be dealt with. Motion to approve the first reading of the following board policies, policy 904 and 907.
I have a motion to approve the first reading of the following board policies, policy 904 and policy 907. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
Second by Putt. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Like 10 times a day.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. President, if I could just point out to any of the people who are listening. So this will be the first reading. If anybody has any issues with these policies, we'll do a second reading at the next meeting. So if they have any concerns, they should bring them up before then, I would imagine.
For the next regular board meeting, yeah. So in the staffing and administration meeting, that's where the second reading will be. So we want to make sure if somebody has an objection that they voice their opinion there.
Great. Thank you.
Okay, Larry.
Okay, motion to approve staffing and administration committee items is noted on the staffing and administration consent agenda. Dr. Kepler, do you want to make some comments?
You're on mute.
Thank you. I'll pull this up for us. So a few folks, a couple resignations, an individual that hadn't started with us yet, another individual leaving us. So thank Mrs. Raymond for her service to the district over the years. Under professional staff items, some short-term and long-term substitutes for various vacancies throughout the year. Some transfers that we're bringing to you that we did at the start of the year. We had discussed these and just getting them onto the agenda to make them formal. You can see some of the staff that we moved to address Cougar Academy needs. Mentors based on contract and state law for new staff. One of note, a support staff resignation of a nurse assistant at Pine. That's our team's working feverishly. I believe it was yesterday we learned of that. So we have a couple weeks to find a nurse assistant for Pine. Volunteer coach recommendation. And the last one here, this cross-country staffing agreement, is for nursing services. And Darcy, correct me if I'm wrong, this is a contract should we have shortages in nursing that we can use and fill some nursing needs through the entity known as Cross Country. And then we have the actual agreement linked for you as well.
So my only question, Dr. Kepler, we have to meet certain requirements on our nursing staff per population. Are we going to be out of compliance now? Because we were borderline before.
To clarify, we must have one certified school nurse for every 1,500 students. We are not losing one of our certified school nurses. The position that we now have a pending vacancy for is a support staff position as a nurse assistant. So is it an issue? You bet. It's not an issue from the state in terms of the certified school nurse qualifications and maximum caseloads, but we need a nurse at Pine. So we're working feverishly, have some leads, and hope to have somebody in there. We'll keep you apprised.
Thank you.
But our team with this agreement with cross-country staffing, make a long story short, one of the biggest pieces is cost. We've looked at the cost hourly rates associated with nurses and very competitive rates when you have to contract out. So if we do have that need, you can see some of the rates that we would be looking at. Okay.
Okay, any other questions, comments, or concerns? Hearing none, I'm sorry. So I have a motion to approve the Staffing and Administration Committee items as noted on the Staffing and Administration consent agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Putt. Okay, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Okay, next item on the agenda is to adjourn. So at this time, I'd entertain.
Mr. Connell, real
Yep.
quick, if I could, before we make that motion. A number of meetings back, and for a couple meetings, we talked about, board members donating books, and I've used that link to donate. I guess I think the way it was set up, I've used the link to have the book delivered directly. Do we get any confirmation that, the books we've donated have been received? Can anybody in the administration or the librarian check that those have been received? Like I said, I know I sent some. I think others did. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah,
Mine
Mr.
got there
Connell,
at
Mr. Kreiser, I had the same. I had done the same thing you did. I looked on my Amazon account and it said that they were delivered, but they are getting multiple books, and the books aren't coming to say this person ordered this book. So I could have you send me the receipt and I could have somebody check out specifically. But other than that, there is really no confirmation at this end. It would be from your Amazon account.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
But that's a good question, because I had the exact same question.
Yeah, just want to make sure everybody knows on my end, it looks like I did what I said I would do. So I just.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, so at this time, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Connell, if I can interrupt quickly, we missed an agenda item. There is a communication.
Okay.
Let me just hit it. Under communications, the board received a thank you letter or thank you postcard from our public library based on the donation from the school district that this year was funded by Krista and Mike Barley. So wanted to make sure you saw that note of appreciation from the public library.
Yep. And again, thank you, Mike and Krista, for that generous donation.
Emily, thank you too. So sweet.
Okay, now, and Bernie, I don't know why, but my agenda is out of sync with what's on Agenda Manager. So I don't have, my number 10 is actually adjournment. So
wow,
just for future reference, somewhere it changed today between after lunch and now.
Yeah, well, we'll talk.
Yep. Okay, now I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay, I heard Mr.
Second.
Butt. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Kreiser. Any further questions, comments, or concerns? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Opposed? Motion carries. We're adjourned. Okay, we will go into, our next committee meeting, which is Buildings and Grounds. Jim, are you able to do Buildings and Grounds, or you want somebody else to do it?
It's just committee. So however you prefer. I mean, I can certainly see it. And we have a little policy here for us to review and talk about the way it looks.
Yep. So just before you get started, just as a reminder, if you want to comment, if the public wants to comment on Buildings and Grounds this evening, for the content that's in Buildings and Grounds, you're certainly welcome to do so. Please use your hand raising capability within Zoom, and please complete that before we get to item number 5. Once we get to item number 5, we'll cut it off, and there'll be no more public comment for this committee meeting. Okay, take it away.
This is the same policy that we reviewed at last Buildings and Grounds, and we had first reading that was approved at the last board meeting. So this is just putting it on to that next board meeting upcoming. We'll have a motion for second reading.
Darcy, have there been any revisions since our committee last reviewed and went through first reading?
No. And the changes are on here in red, and they're all related to use of fields and the new athletic facility.
And everything is taken care of with the rec association agreement?
Yes, they are circulating that as their meetings take place. So Tina King is coordinating that.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
I have a quick question regarding the turf fields. How many of our teams are currently using it right now since it's opened up?
So we've had our current boys and girls soccer practices. Our first scrimmage is taking place as we speak for girls soccer. Field hockey is in season and practicing. Football has practiced on the new turf. And baseball has had their first workout on Tuesday night for their fall workouts.
Excellent. Do the middle school teams have any access to that? Will they plan to use it at all at any point?
Certainly an option if available, working through Mr. Weidler, that they're able to schedule those things, yes.
Great, thank you.
Okay. Any other comments on policy 707?
Nope, just
we have. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say just a lot of work went into that, so thank you to the committee, Darcy and Bernie and Annette, whoever else was involved. Thanks for the extra time put in to kind of revamp this and make it more up to date. So thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, our board member representatives were Jim and Jeff, and then also additionally admin team members were Tanya White, Heath Dresch, Kim Nixon, and Brian Weidler.
Okay, thank you. All right, go ahead, Jim.
All right, asbestos notification. Darcy, Bernie, who's gonna?
If you could, if John could queue up, bring Heath Dresch on. We have an annual requirement to read a notification into the minutes related to asbestos.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
You can, Heath. Yes.
Yeah, this is the yearly notification. I do want to say that we only have one building that has asbestos in, that is North Side. And that is two pipes that are underneath the stage, and they are encapsulated with plastic and asbestos tape to seal them up. They do not go into the building as far as any ventilation. It was an exterior vent, but to get it removed, you'd have to tear the whole foundation out of the building. So we have to read this, and then it has to be posted into our asbestos logbook and documented that it was read in a public meeting. The annual asbestos notification as required by HERA regulations. In 2020, Cumberland Analytical of Carlisle was retained to conduct the school district's 3-year inspection in accordance with the Asbestos Hazardous Emergency Response Act at HERA. Friable and non-friable asbestos were identified in areas of North Side Elementary. No asbestos, as defined under the HERA regulations, was identified in Forge, Pine Street Elementary, Lingle Avenue Elementary, Palmyra High School, Palmyra Middle School, or the maintenance buildings. Inspections of known asbestos-containing materials are conducted by Cumberland Analytical in accordance with the HERA regulations. The results of the inspection and any response actions are incorporated into the district's operation and maintenance program. The district's asbestos operations and maintenance plans are available for review in the maintenance department office. Any questions concerning the district's asbestos program should be directed to the Cumberland Analytical and the district's contracted asbestos indoor air quality engineer coordinator. These books are also published, kept in each office of each building. So each building has its own asbestos record, including Lingle, which was built way after they were using asbestos. So this will be entered into the books. If anybody would have questions, again, the asbestos that is in North Side is not exposed to, no one has access to it except maintenance if they went down, and we check it every 6 months, and then we document that it was checked and it's sound. That would be all I have.
Great. Thanks, Mr. Dresch. Board members, any questions, comments?
None for me.
All right, then Dr. Kepler, I think we have a arrangement you've worked out with ECI that we would like to discuss around some like-kind exchange work.
Yes. So members of the board, this, so I don't forget to say it, this may not be poised for a motion at the next board meeting, but I want to make sure that there is support before we move any further in discussions with ECI. ECI Construction is the general contractor at our athletic complex project. And if you recall, the backstop at the baseball field was an ad alternate, whether we would replace that or not. Initially, that bid came in at $7,500, was a nice price, and we had anticipated including that in the project. When we were moving to stormwater management approvals and had to make some cuts to the project, that was one of the items we cut. It was the bid came in at $7,500. ECI has come to us and said that they would be willing to do the work to replace that backstop. The main poles would remain. They would prep them and paint them black, and they would put new black vinyl coated mesh fence on there. And as a result, they would just be asking for an equivalent $10,000 sponsorship. What I'm proposing to them is not to take sponsorship slots that are available where we're expecting revenue, that we would do something different with signage that would not remove any other revenue options for the district. I don't know that that would have been appropriate because of us cutting it because of cost. And if we gave them a spot where we were expecting revenue, we're really still losing that cost or additional dollars. So this would be looking at an alternative location for a $10,000 equivalent sponsorship for that in-kind work. The president of the company is a baseball guy, knows some Palmyra people in baseball, and shared this option with us.
Where would the advertisement be?
They're looking at it, since that is their cup of tea, to present something over where the existing baseball scoreboard is. So it would not be on the scoreboard where we're accepting other sponsorship opportunities. I'm looking at having the signage that extends from the existing baseball scoreboard, not something we were planning on for revenue options.
It would be on the scoreboard or around the scoreboard, Mr. Connell, where the old baseball scoreboard was repositioned left field corner, not really overlapping over by the field hockey section.
Okay.
So as we continue, we just want to make sure there's support from the board before we just continue down this path. But
and just to confirm, Dr. Kepler, as we discussed, the size would be of no additional value or anything than what our current sponsors have contributed for, right? The value they're getting is the same size as what any other sponsor paid for. They're not getting any kind of additional benefit of a larger sign or anything else.
That's correct. Again, the initial budget for that ad alternate was $7,500, but that was while in construction. Their labor costs will increase because now they've got finished product that they have to work around. So, upwards of a $10,000 sponsorship draws a 4-foot by 3-foot sign in our other sponsorships. So we would adhere to that.
Perfect.
I don't have an issue with this, Bernie.
I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good too.
Okay.
I'm good.
Work.
Okay.
Tell Bernie to be unmuted.
Sorry.
I'm good.
So Bernie, I guess the last item then is some adjustments now based on the governor's guidance and what's available from a fans attendance standpoint on our reopening plan.
That's correct. Still somewhat in limbo where this stands. As we currently operate, we're currently under the the governor's direction or guidelines for K-12 sports, and that being the capacity of 250 250 people for an outdoor event, 25 for an indoor event, or 50% of the capacity of a facility. So if you take Buck Swank, for example, currently 250 max, when you factor in 2 teams, cheerleaders, band, et cetera, we factored in game help and officials. We had 205 people from Palmyra. If you look at another team, they're going to have more than 55 players and coaches. So we're working through this. We don't have the final answers yet, but we're looking at kids first. We want this to be a student event. Our band deserves as much. It's their Friday night as well. And we're looking at different options. That our band would perform pregame instead of halftime. And, as the band finished, they might march off. A portion of the band stay as a pep band. Others leave. We've talked about our cheerleaders being stationed in our gymnasium at the middle school for pregame. So as a portion of the band leaves, the cheerleaders come out, and we're still under that 250 capacity. That's just one example of the intricacies of this. But at 250, that would not allow spectators. Those numbers would be filled. And then I'll get into the pending legislation here at the end. But other facilities, our new athletic complex facility, the capacity is 300 per field. 250 would not be allowed because we're not allowed to exceed the 50% under the governor's current guideline. So 150 max. That includes players, so soccer and field hockey this fall, players, coaches, et cetera. So Mr. Weidler, we're working on plans, he and Dr. Richardson, and collaborating with other schools that would say, during a JV game, we would ask only JV parents to attend, giving vouchers to parents to keep our numbers under that 150. The JV game ends, those parents leave, and the varsity parents come in, doing everything we can to get at least parents to attend events. Indoors volleyball presents probably one of the biggest issues. 2 volleyball teams exceed 25 people. So right now you technically can't even have the varsity players in a gymnasium. Schools are talking to you, station the varsity teams in 2 different rooms while JV plays, and then JV goes and then the varsity comes in. So that's what we've known up until this week. In the last few days, the Senate followed up and approved legislation that the House had previously approved, altering that. What the governor's going to do, we don't know. We're hearing rumor that he might veto that. And then it gets into the supermajority, where 2/3 of the House and Senate did approve that, and can they override should the governor veto that bill. So we're kind of in limbo waiting. We're poised to make decisions, doing everything we can at a minimum to get parents to see their child, their student athlete perform. So we're working with our booster clubs. We met last night with booster club representatives about concessions and setting up the new concession stand at our complex. However, I will say that the Lancaster Lebanon League and the Mid-Penn, we believe, are both looking to not open concessions. We're still working through those as superintendents, but we need to maintain the focus of kids playing and having ability to participate versus some of the ancillary things that we want to go with it, but do we really need to in this state? So I just wanted our community to know we're working through those details. And we'll be communicating accordingly once we know what the final plan is. But right now we're operating under the guidelines the governor has set forth until that piece of legislation becomes law.
No.
Okay. Uh-oh. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Hear you just fine.
Okay.
All
right.
Hi. It's Karen, by the way. Could somebody unmute Mike? He's currently not able to get on.
Yeah.
Thank you.
John, you want to?
Hang on a second.
All right. You could take care of that. I think
Thank you.
I don't
Yeah,
have.
unless there's any other comment, Mr. Connell, I'll turn it over to you then for any public comment.
Yep, there's nobody that raised their hand, so we have no public comment. Mike, are you good?
I am good. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Okay, thank you, Mr. Kreiser. So we'll move on to the next committee meeting. Okay, so we'll move into finance.
Thank you, sir. First up is the CAIU tuition contract.
And as you're bringing that up, just a reminder, if you want to have public comment during the finance committee meeting, please raise your hand in Zoom before we get to the public comment item.
This is a special ed tuition contract for a placement at Capital Area Intermediate Unit, and this was budgeted.
Anything that we have to be aware of with this?
No. Nope. Just like to get all of these tuition contracts approved.
So with these contracts, did we make any, is there any protection in here in case we kind of go back all virtual or anything like that?
With the IU contracts, their contracts, we did not have the ability to change language, but we're comfortable in working with IUs that they're, by their nature, meeting our working in mutual best interests.
Okay.
Any questions for Darcy? Okay, moving on to the 2020-2021 transportation contract updates.
We are still negotiating with both of our contractors, with Bucks and Boyo. I mean, certainly some unusual circumstances this year, so we're in continued conversations. I wanted to give you an update, but I want to give a shout out to both our contractors. They have exceeded expectations for the return to school. There have been a lot of changes, and they have worked with our transportation staff here. Our Bucks and Boy are reliable long-term contractors of the district, but I can't say enough good things how they've gone above and beyond this year to keep things running smoothly. One example in particular, Bucks was experiencing a driver shortage, and Boyo stepped in and provided a driver of a 72 passenger bus to meet that need and allow us to have one driver in reserve so that we can all sleep a little better at night knowing that we had at least one driver in reserve and we weren't completely maxed out with drivers. So to give you just the update where we are, the second attachment, I'm just going to run through this one here, but there is an attachment of a handout that was shared with you in March, right before the pandemic, where we had tentative agreement for a 2-year contract with Bucks, but then we put that aside. We're working on language with them, with the force majeure language, and language that similar to what happened last year when school was closed, that we would cover their fixed costs because of wanting to keep them in business. They are coming back to us with a proposal. What I'm expecting from them is a proposal to add something to the contract for extra hours that they're spending cleaning because they're paying labor for that. And for Bucks, we passed along grant funded supplies that we procured of about $18,000 to them. So that's something we've already, used some of that grant money to provide them with supplies. Where we are with runs this year, buses were at the same number. Last year was 17. We have 17 on the road again this year. We had budgeted $40,000 in the 2021 budget to add an additional bus run due to overcrowding that we were experiencing last year. That run has not been added, so that gives us a little bit of cushion there towards what should become what we expect to come from them to cover some additional costs for cleaning. But we did need to add a CTC run at a cost of $19,000 because of social distancing requests for lunch at the CTC, where they were not able to accommodate the health and safety plan without, I mean, we're bringing kids back, so that required an additional run. And then a bit of good news with the vans. Their vans that Bucks runs, we're down 3 vans. So estimated savings there would be about $60,000. Again, I think that's a source that could help offset some of the additional costs. I'm not expecting savings because of these additional costs. Then with Boyo, we've received a proposal to increase our contract significantly. We've known that, you know, Boyo is right in our backyard, and we know we've had a hometown discount for many, many years with them. They have proposed increases this year to align our contract with market rates. They've proposed a 2-year contract. You can see the rates that are shown there. What we were paying in 1920 for a regular van and wheelchair van, what they're proposing now is a 19.6% increase for a regular van and 11.4% for a wheelchair van. I'd like to, I've countered at this point asking if something could be phased in over 2 years because of that being such a big hit. We're holding steady with their number of vans at 13. I've collected some data that validates our rates are very, very good. IU-15, which does special ed transportation for all of the capital area intermediate unit, they shared a minimum rate of $210 per day. And that's what's been shared with me, where bids are coming in $200, $210 for new customers of Boyo. In Lebanon County districts, I could only compare to a few districts. It's not comparable for a district that might use a Bright Bill where they do special ed and regular transportation. So it was really important that I had rates that I was comparing apples to apples, just rates for special ed, and the Lebanon County districts that could provide data. Rates that they're paying are $177 to $183 per day. And that's only if they're at the 4-hour minimum. They would be higher for runs that are greater than 4 hours. So I don't believe that this request is out of line, but again, as I said, continuing to negotiate with them. My goal is to continue negotiations and use available savings from our lower vehicle numbers to offset some of the proposed increases due to costs related to the pandemic and the cleaning and where market rates are. And I mean, it's to attract drivers. When I say market conditions, there are severe driver shortages throughout the state, and it's a necessity for them to get their rates up to staff the buses.
I guess, you know, so I'm glad you went back to Boyo, right? They've been a good partner for the school district, but, you know, a 20% or 11% increase, that's a hard pill to swallow. That's a drastic increase. You're not talking about 5% or 6%. You're talking about 4 times that, right? I'm curious to see what they come back with, and hopefully there'll be some more comparable kind of increase that we can really digest.
Mm-hmm. Trying to work within our budget framework. It's not easy.
No, it's not.
Any other questions or comments for Darcy?
I was just going to say, Darcy, when does this contract kind of come into play?
It's in play right now.
No, with the increase.
Oh, it would be effective July 1st, right? I mean, typically we just pay estimated at the beginning of the year until we get, our actual number of runs are established. So it affects.
But even with the regular, the Boyo special ed transportation?
Yes.
So come July 1st, it's 19.6? Is that what you're telling me?
Yes. It'd be the
negotiation. So it's not, we're still working that number down.
Okay. That's what I was asking. Okay.
Yeah, we have not signed a contract. We'll be bringing that final negotiated. We hope to get lowered to you.
Yes, thank you.
And did they only do these arrangements year to year? I mean, is there any phased approach to this, Darcy, on a longer term, 3-5 year?
We've requested of Bucks to do a longer term contract, and their preference has been to keep it to a 2-year contract. We would have been willing to do something longer. I would certainly prefer a longer contract rather than having this come up every 2 years.
And how about on the Boyo end? I mean, is there a way to phase that increase in over time?
That's what I've requested. That's what I've countered with. And Boyo is very willing to go with a multi-year contract. I think they would go up to a 3-year contract if we would approve one.
Okay, good to know. That's perfect.
Okay. Any other comments or questions for Darcy? Okay. 2020-2021 school lunch program update.
This is about free lunches. This has been publicized in the media, and last Friday we got something out through Alert Now to all our parents. We're communicating to parents of homeschool families. We're encouraging families to take advantage of this extension. That my understanding is that the Department of Agriculture, because of school closures, they had money left over from last year. So the program we ran while school was closed last year and over the summer, they've extended that till December 31st. They also throw in there until the money runs out. That's a little concerning. We were hoping it means, that they don't pull that out from under us before December 31st. But we were up and running quickly with promoting that that's available. I know, other districts that have gone entirely free through the community program that's available in districts with high free and reduced lunch eligible population. You hear back from parents, well, we can afford to pay, and they don't want to accept that subsidy, but this is a subsidy. This is the format that additional money is available to us. And we encourage parents to take advantage of that and maybe, give that money they're saving elsewhere to support the district or other initiatives, because this really does help our lunch program. We've been concerned that under an AB model and, with how we're operating with more kids at home, that we would struggle to keep our lunch program break even. And if we don't have a break even lunch program, those losses need to be covered by the general fund. So we have a history of maintaining those break even operations. And this is a way that will certainly help that. Just to give you an example, for a paid elementary student lunch, we received $2.30 from the student, and then an additional 50 cents in subsidy. So we're getting $2.80. Under this program, we get $3.68 per lunch for each lunch. So this will go a long way to help sustain our program. We think it'll be good for participation. We won't have bad debt collection while this is going on. it will be much faster to process kids through lines, because right now kids we want to keep it touchless. So instead of putting their number into a keypad, we've had kids sharing their PIN numbers with cashiers, and talking through a mask can be hard to hear. So and we hope it improves breakfast participation. We hope this is a boost to the dairy community that this would be more milk sales. So just the whole way around, we see this as a very positive thing for our lunch program. So just wanted to add some more talking points that we weren't able to put in full into our alert now that went out last Friday.
Okay, thank you, Darcy. Any questions? Okay, moving on to selected revenues presentation.
Actually, I put that on as the heading, and our auditors are coming next week to audit the 1920 financial operations, and I don't typically give this out before audited, but again, we've been really just want to make sure we're keeping you up to date on where we are with our financial position. And so I'm going to show you where we budgeted revenues, what we estimated before COVID and after COVID, and then of course, subject to audit, where we are right now with our 1920 revenues. And just one thing to point out, I mentioned real estate revenues earlier with the treasurer's report. The other source of revenue that's certainly sensitive to the economy is the earned income tax. And the way we report our for our year end for our revenues, July and August earned income tax revenues are reported back to 1920. We're under a modified accrual basis. So the information's that's included in our 1920 numbers is the most up-to-date information that we have on earned income tax. So Bernie, if you could scroll down to the bottom so I can just show where the totals are. I won't go into any details, but for total revenues, our budget for 1920 was just under 54.3 million. And then in March, when we were preparing, or even a little earlier, when we were preparing for budget, certainly seeing strong trends, especially in the earned income tax line item, that was running well ahead of what we budgeted. And also we were looking at higher interest rates. I estimated 54.5 million, and then adjusted that just under the budget to make some adjustments for COVID and that impact on 1920. And again, I'll stress this is unaudited, but where we are right now is at 54.4 around 54.4 million, really right in the middle of those two numbers. So I was feeling pretty good about that, to be within $100,000 on a $54 million number. That's within 0.2%.
Thank you, Darcy. That's pretty amazing. Any questions for Darcy? Okay, I'll turn it back over to you, Mr. President, for any public comments, but I don't see any hands raised.
Do not have any hands raised, so we'll end Finance Committee.
Thanks, sir.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll move on to staffing administration.
Okay, and we have the second reading. So, Dr. Kepler, if you want to make any comments.
No changes since you reviewed this policy last time. Change was specific to our not having in-school suspension in the 2020-21 school year. So removing in-school suspension as a discipline option.
So that is the only change.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and we have
This is for the PSBA officer election where I cast the vote as board secretary on your behalf. And as we discussed last meeting, there's just, with the list here, there's only one place where, for the vice president, where you need to make a choice if you agree to accept all the, the entire slate. And if, I don't know if any of you, if you want to have that discussion now, if you've had time to look at the biographies that are there for the slate of candidates. And if you have direction for me, I have to cast that vote, I believe, by October 10th.
Mr. Connell's very connected to all these people and knows them all well, so I'll default to whatever his judgment is.
Thank you, Mr.
I'll
Price.
second that.
So really the only person we're really voting on is vice president. And based on the backgrounds that I read, I would propose Sabrina to be that person.
Agreed.
Okay.
Anybody else object?
I'm fine with that.
Okay. See, Jim, I was prepared.
And then if everyone accepts that, I'll have that in the form of a motion for the next board meeting on the 24th. And then I'll have my direction to cast a timely vote.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Okay, secondary hybrid schedule AB, Dr. Kepler.
Thank you, Mr. God. As you know, with our health and safety reopening plan, we entered with 3 weeks or 3 4-day weeks of an AB hybrid schedule. We did that to allow us the opportunity to see how we operated middle school, high school, from classroom, social distancing, transportation, social distancing, hallway movement, big one, cafeteria. And Monday, this coming week, the 14th, was to be our decision point. My feelings as I sit here, I wanted to take this opportunity to discuss it and give our community as much advance notice as possible, as our recommendation is going to be to continue in an AB hybrid rotation. We stand no chance of social distancing in our middle school, high school if we bring every student in our building each day. Our cafeterias simply won't hold it. We have 150 sections of 30 to 32 students in our high school. If all of those students are present, even if a handful are out choosing synchronous, we simply cannot provide even close to social distancing. I think at the secondary level in particular, our hybrids or our synchronous learning is going fairly well. It's a challenge for our middle school and high school teachers, but I think overall they're handling it very well. And I'll make comments on the elementary here in a bit, but I just wanted to share with you that recommendation. Our review of, our administrators have had me, I've visited lunches, I've observed bus transportation, arrival and dismissal, which has been fabulous. This community and our parents have done everything they can to try to get their sons and daughters to school and reduce our capacity on buses. And I'm incredibly impressed that alleviated one of my biggest concerns. So thank you to our families on that end.
Bernie, would you still be doing Fridays off, or how does that work? Because I know other schools are having the AB and just having Fridays off. I don't know. Are we still doing that too, or are you gonna just?
Yeah, and it's happen chance that we have Fridays off. Our plan is AB, AB, AB every day of school. It alternates. We simply have had days off because of the Labor Day holiday and are utilizing next Friday, the 18th, as an Act 80 day. So our intent would be to continue with alternating days. It allows our students with special needs the option to come in every day if they like, and I think provides us with the best ability to meet their free and appropriate public education. I've reviewed video of other lunch days, and we want nothing more than to have our kids in our building every day. Until this pandemic passes, I don't see that happening in our secondary classrooms. You have any questions?
Bernie, where are we with the county's testing rate in terms of falling in within the guidance of in-person versus the hybrid? I know I'm pretty sure we're still well within the range for continuing with hybrid. Are we regardless of social distancing, are we within the range from a testing rate as outlined by the PDE for in-person?
Yes, every Friday that data is released, and Lebanon County continues to fall in the moderate range, which is a hybrid recommendation, where I want to say per 100,000, we're hovering around high 30s, high 30 cases per 100,000 residents, and then percent positive. The percent positive is below 5%. So that data point puts us in the low range, but the number of cases per 100,000, those two data points is an or. So if one of them is above a threshold, it puts us in the moderate, which does recommend the hybrid recommendation that we're providing.
Okay, thank you. For me, Mr. Connell, I think minimally the hybrid, we should minimally continue that, if not consider in person. But I'm okay with minimally continuing the hybrid.
Agreed. And Bernie, are we going to have a further checkpoint like this again and kind of reevaluate? And what's the cadence that we'll be at?
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to continue to utilize that data, status of the pandemic, Lebanon County data, and yeah, if we have an ability to bring more students in a safe manner, we will absolutely do that, and I think our teachers would applaud that. But it would have to be in a safe environment.
Yeah.
I also, if there's no other questions on the secondary, I'd like to just talk elementary for a moment. And even though we don't have a set decision point for elementary listed, I just want to kind of set the stage for discussions and where we're at as a district. Teaching students in a synchronous manner when we have students in front of them in the classroom and students at home is a tall task, kindergarten through 12th grade. As you can imagine, the younger the child, the more difficult that is. I've had the opportunity to get around to all of our buildings. And are there technology issues on occasion? Sure. Are there challenges that teachers have on occasion? Sure. I will tell you that our teachers are doing a phenomenal job at our elementary school, since I'm focusing on K-5 here. I asked for a volunteer to let me come observe, and I had a teacher who is, I used the word today, rock star, that I got to spend 45 minutes and watch a math lesson today, and it was phenomenal. But the amount of effort, angst, and stress to get to that point is vast. I tell you, the board and our community tonight, that there is, I equate our elementary teachers right now in particular, not that middle school and high school have it easy. They're working incredibly hard and doing challenging work, but elementary is a significant challenge. I equate it to a pot of boiling water that, when it starts to boil, that lid on the pot starts to shake a little bit. And administratively, we're working with our staff to how can we, at home, I have a pot that has I can turn a little knob on it, and it puts a little opening there and allows the steam to come out and remove some of that pressure. We're talking to our staff, what can we do to provide you with a pressure release valve. What can we do to make your world easier for meeting the needs of our English learners? The wisest thing we did was put in an Act 40 or an Act 80 day next Friday. Our teachers need that day. Any additional training needs they have, review, time, and we'll be working with them over the course of the next week and beyond to try to identify what we can do to help support them and try to find that pressure release valve. So tonight, I just want to set the stage that it was phenomenal to hear some of our parents speak favorably about the efforts. Over the last 6 months, I've had countless people share kudos to administration for the work we've done, and I'll be frank, and it pales in comparison with what we're asking our teachers to do right now. Their work has been beyond imaginable what they're being asked to do. I have 260 first-year teachers. Every one of them is like their first year of teaching again. Anything we can do to support them is going to be needed. So I'll be working with them and perhaps in 2 weeks, perhaps in a month, talking to the board and our community about some ideas of what we can do to help. So stay tuned, but I want to set the notion of my last comment would be things are going incredibly well, but our teachers are stressed to the max to get there so far.
Dr. Kepler, it's a good segue. I just have one issue I wanted to bring up tonight. The live streaming and recording classroom participation agreement that was sent home. I briefly emailed you real quick about specifically number 5. I have an issue with it. I just feel like it wasn't quite clear. And then some other parents have also brought the same concern to me. So as a parent right now, I can't sign the form as it's currently written. So we need to either talk about maybe rewording it, or if the majority of the board's okay with myself and other parents just adding that a little note at the bottom that we've reserved the right to monitor and to assist our children during these live stream classes. I think maybe just doing that would make us all happy. It's just, I want it to be clear to the parents that they can be there to help their children, during this live streaming class, because you don't want to put it all on the teachers. You want if the parents are home, you want them to be able to assist, in my opinion.
Yeah, and we appreciated that feedback, Mike, as we agree. The intent of item 5 on that document was that probably more middle school, high school, that kids aren't using a buddy to get into a class they don't belong in. And, I guess it's not Zoom bombing, it'd be Microsoft Teams bombing, if you will. But yeah, we want parental support. So I actually have a draft update that I can share with you, see if you like that language, and I can share it with parents. If you didn't sign this because of item 5, here's a clarification.
I appreciate you being responsive to those concerns.
Yeah. And I had probably 3 or 4 parents reach out to me.
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Kepler.
Okay. Anything else, Bernie?
I just want to echo what Dr. Kepler said. In the realm of professional development, I did send an email out to our staff this evening asking for their input on specific professional development needs they feel they need for next Friday. So when we are doing our Act 80 Day, we are actually targeting and providing the professional development that they want. And providing them time to do the work. So, so far we've gotten quite a few comments, and they've been very helpful for us in our planning.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Anything else? We'll move on to public comment. And at the time, I do have 2 hands that are raised. So first, John, we have Holly Kurtz. So can you activate Holly?
Hey, it's actually Christina Kurtz, the mother. Holly is the daughter. But I want to first say that the teachers are doing an amazing job. Just the way the virtual's going and the assistance that they're able to provide. It's just phenomenal. My daughter's in middle school, and it's really gone well. She's on the AB, which is one other thing I want to mention with AB is I think that's excellent, doing the AB. It keeps the kids at bay, only having half in at the school at the same time. It also gives the kids the ability to go to school and do the things they need to do that they're not doing or is limited at doing at home. Such as like the other programs and stuff that they have other than their core classes. So I want to give acclimates to that because I think it's phenomenal. One of the things I want to also mention is with the absence. I know my daughter experienced, she has one symptom that's always routine, that's pre-existing. So when you get another symptom, then it becomes two. And so, she's kind of leery and then going, even though she technically has one, but really has two, just because of what other kids might think and then accuse or, suspect or whatever. So I like that flexibility where then they allow the kids to stay home for that reason and be able to still do virtual online. I know it's marked as an absence, but they said it doesn't get counted like towards your having to go to the doctors to get the slip and all that stuff. They're going to look at that on a case-by-case basis and be more flexible. So that's, I really think that's a great thing there that they're able to do to allow those kids to stay home and not have parents push the kids to school that may be sick actually, and just because of not being able to stay home. So I want to applaud you on that as well in trying to keep the school safe in all matters. And I do think masks is important to wear because as Dr. Levine had said, the masks protects the other person when you wear the mask. So I think it's important that people do it to protect the other people as well. If people aren't wearing masks in general, now of course if there's ADA, that's different, but just as in general, I think that you'd find a lot of people not wanting to be at the school if that is the case, and teachers as well, I'm sure.
Okay.
So thank you very much.
Thank you, Christina. Next, I have Gina Reese. Hopefully I pronounced your name correctly.
You did. Thank you. I just
you.
want to give a shout out to the teachers all over the district. My kids are doing virtual and it has been absolutely amazing. There's been times where I've wanted to cry because I've been so happy with all of the feedback that they've given me. We've had technical difficulties. I've called KK. She has gotten back to me. She got back to me immediately. Got Sarah Lyons, one of my friends. I was having trouble. She got back to me. So Zoe, my daughter, could get on. Mrs. Rose, Mrs. Yingling, everybody at Lingle, Pine, Northside, Forge. It has been so great. My kids can't go because I have a pre-existing condition. So I'm just extremely happy. And I want to thank every single educator because I know they are going 1,010 hours of work at what they're doing. And I cannot thank you all enough. So if you're out there and you're listening, thank you, thank you, thank you. We love you all. That's all I want to say. Thanks.
Thank you, Gina, for those kind words. Okay, so I believe that concludes our staffing and administration public committee meeting. And I believe next up is our staffing administration executive session. If so, if everybody wouldn't mind, if we could take a 10-minute brief break, return at 7:41, and remember to use the private meeting link that Bernie, I think you have on email, and or is it in the agenda manager?
Both cases, Mr. Connell.
Both. Okay, very good. So we'll talk with everybody here at 7:41. Thanks.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.